Major Manuel Oscar Rodriguez, Ibaez, MORI awoke with a heavy pain in his chest, in spite of the lighter gravity on the Luna. He wished that he had not awoken, if it was going to be another day without his beloved Elena. As a Templar, his theological training had included the 5 stages of grief that he felt intensely from his wife being in a cryostasis chamber. What they didn't tell you was how much that you would repeat those stages. Otra vez, otra vez, otra vez. It was simply unbearable. However, perhaps today would be the day that the doctors would announce that they could cure Elena, and he would be with her again. MORI smiled grimly. Would this be considered the denial stage? Or the bargaining stage? He bathed, then went to the closet to dress. He pushed his mage's uniform aside to grab the simple Templar robe. Next to the robe, there was another robe with elaborate decorations that befitted his rank as a father in the Templars. He once was proud of all of the honors that he had earned. Now it just looked tacky and heavy to him. If he had his way, he would toss the mage's uniform and the ornate robe both into the recycling bins. However, the Father Superior had insisted that he keep both on hand and ready, so that he would be prepared for whatever God would call him to do. He ate breakfast and worked, doing the mundane things that humans were supposed to do. He bided his time until he got a break, then went to the great hall where the cryochambers were. He went to find a chair to sit in front of Elena's chamber. Good afternoon, Amore. I'm sorry I am so late. The Padre Superior gave me a lot of work today. He thinks I come to visit too much, but doesn't understand that this isn't enough. I have considered leaving the Templars or the Marines, but the Padre Superior refuses to accept my resignations until it has been at least 2 years. He paused for a while, then continued. Carmen has left for university. She's pursuing a degree in bootlickers and bureaucrats. She wishes to work as one of the liaisons between military, government, and corporations. She says the things she saw that caused the most trouble were when there was a conflict or breakdown between these. She says I will build bridges made of forms and speeches. I'm starting to wonder if she will be president of EarthGov one day. She says she has no desire to become a politician because they waste too much time doing nothing. She would rather waste her time getting something done. It is a little strange, but she is a good girl, and she will figure it out. MORI sat in long silence, reminiscing. He would occasionally talk to Elena, sharing memories with her. Dinner time came, and he excused himself to go to the dining hall. On the way, he went through the hallway where the patient rooms were. He started to pass a woman who was bracing herself to enter a room when she sank to the floor weeping. MORI instinctively caught her and helped her down. Qui pasa? The woman attempted to speak, but her sobs cut her off. After several minutes, she wiped her face with her sleeves, took a shaky breath and told him, I am so sorry for falling apart like this. I just don't know what to do about my husband. He lost his legs in that battle against the Murd, and it's like he wants to give up. He refuses therapy because he says that it is a waste of time, because if he can't be a Marine anymore, then he's useless. The doctors are monitoring him for drinking and substance use because he has started drinking heavily. Initially, I would bring beer because he always liked his beers. It did seem like he started to drink more than he used to, but I didn't think much of it until the doctors told me to stop bringing him beer. It seemed he was ordering it to be delivered, and would also have other friends and family bring it as well. Since he's been forced to quit drinking, he's gotten even worse. I just don't know what to do. She broke down, sobbing again, and MORI gave her a gentle hug. He let her weep into his shoulder until he could actually feel her tears sinking through his robes into his skin. He patted her reassuringly. I am so sorry that you go through this, Aura. It is completely unfair, and a burden that no one should bear. You are a good woman to support him in this way. She took a shaky breath. It seems like everything I do is wrong. If I try to encourage him, he says I am being condescending. If I try pointing out everything that he can still do, he says I am wasting my time. If I get upset when he refuses to do his therapy, he calls me a heartless bitch. When I try to cheer him up, then he calls me a stupid bitch. I can't take it anymore. I told him yesterday that if he keeps this up, I will leave and go back to Earth. Then he called me a selfish cunt who is deserting him so that I could go find another man. Every day, I dread coming here because I dread whatever anger that I will be facing. I try to time my visits when the doctors or nurses are here because he is civil in front of others. I feel so broken and empty. I've asked for advice, read all of the literature and tried to apply it, done everything I can think of, and yet he is still like this. I used to think such terrible things about wives who deserted their husbands after receiving such huge injuries like this. But with him being this way, I don't know how much longer I can last. I think that very soon I will be one of them. Oh, God. I am so ashamed. MOR, I could feel his own eyes starting to dampen with tears, but also an anger that the man would treat her this way. The poor woman was shaking. She broke into fresh sobs and was almost completely incoherent. He accuses me of mocking and disrespecting him and seeing him as less of a man. I even tried to be intimate with him to show him that wasn't true. He called me disgusting and said he would rather cut it off and throw it away with his legs than touch me. But then I see how nice he treats the nurses here. He is good to them, but has nothing but hate for me. I keep praying every day, as the priests tell me, but God isn't listening. MORI hugged her and rocked her gently. She wept for several minutes. Occasionally she would try to say something, but instead it just turned into more crying. Occasionally someone would pass and give a kind smile to them, a priest comforting a distraught woman. One nurse actually returned back with a large handful of tissues, which she quietly gave to MORI to pass on to the weeping woman. At one point, she appeared cried out. She just sat on the floor, staring at nothing, her voice flat. Why does he do this? I've asked other priests, but all they do is tell me to be brave, pray, and that God will bring something good from this test. They act as though I have no right to be upset, that I should have rainbows shooting out of my ass after this happened to my husband, after the way he treats me. She gave MORI a soft smile. Thank you, Father. You're the first one who actually just listened and let me cry. I had been holding on so much, trying to be brave, and I am exhausted and my body continually hurts, and my chest hurts, and I just don't know what to do or anything else. Thank you, Father, for listening, Ika friend, and not lecturing me. MORI kissed her hands gently. It is all right, sister. In Ecclesiastes, we are told that there is a time to mourn and a time to weep. Jesus wept many times. You have been through much. Unfortunately, we often don't find out why we suffer these things until we are with him in heaven. That is where he promises things will be made right. I can tell you that you should keep praying, but pour your heart out to him, all the rage, frustration, sorrow, and pain. David did this many times in Psalms, often describing his distress as dying. These terrible things make no sense when they happen to us. But you are definitely better with God than without. And one day, he will tell you all. He helped her to her feet. I think your husband treats you badly because when you marry, two become one. He is angry about his own body, so since you are part of him, he takes it out on you. It is not right, but unfortunately it happens. Your husband, what is his name? She sniffed. James. Corporal James Hill. He was with the 40th. I am Jeannie Hill, by the way. I'm sorry I've been so rude. I've been blubbering on your shoulder, getting you all wet, and you probably missed dinner, and I didn't even ask your name. MORI smiled kindly at her. I am Brother Manuel. I am familiar with the murder. It was devastating. We lost many good people there. Let me ask you this. Is your husband expecting you? Jeannie teared up again, this time starting to cry angrily. I don't know. When I ask him if he wants me to come, he won't give me a straight answer. When I do come, he treats me like I'm unwelcome. But when I don't come, he gets angry. He does that for everything. It doesn't matter what I do. He gets angry, so I'm constantly afraid to do anything. My life has come down to I can't make even the smallest decisions because no matter what I do, it's wrong. Then when I try to ask him questions, He gets angry because I'm questioning and disrespecting him. If I don't ask questions, sometimes I can guess correctly. But then the next time when I do the same thing, he gets angry because I did the wrong thing and didn't ask questions. MORI smiled kindly at her as she cried more and gave her tissues. When she finally calmed again, he told her, "You need rest. Come back, Mana Ai. He has nurses to care for him. He will be fine. You need to take care of yourself." She sighed and smiled. "Thank you. No offense, but you look a little mature to still be a brother." He gave a small nod. "We are the same before God. I have suffered great loss also. Now go get rest. I will see you tomorrow." Jeannie left for her quarters while MORI was just in time to grab a hasty dinner. He looked up Hill's record and spoke to the ward staff for his room. On the way back to his own quarters, he stopped at Elena's cryochamber. "I need your help, MORI. I've been given a difficult task, but I know it is what God intends." He stayed for a minute longer, then went back to his quarters. He looked at himself in the mirror. His hair, while still short, had grown past regulations, and he was starting to get a bit of a gut. After grooming, he put on his Marine uniform and most intimidating scowl. MORI walked into Hill's room abruptly, giving him a hard stare, then barked at him attention. Hill jerked reflexively in his bed, then relaxed. Sir, I don't think you understand. Khalid Baludo. It is you who does not understand. There have been complaints about you. Your behavior is a disgrace. No more. And you WILL come to attention when a senior officer enters the room. Hill moved aside the covers on his bed, revealing the stumps of his legs. With all due respect, SIR. MORI cut him off. Don't give me any of that with all due respect nonsense. You and I both know that actually means QT Joden. You are a Marine. You have been taught how to properly conduct yourself, and I have seen men in wheelchairs sit at attention if they are not able to stand. You will be no exception. Your behavior has been intolerable, and I am fixing it now. Hill was outraged. This crazy officer had no idea who he was messing with. The battle with the Murd was one of the worst incidents in recent history, and he wasn't about to take a lecture from some desk jockey, sitting back on Earth in a clean uniform. Fine then. With no respect, because none is due, you don't seem to realize the situation and what I've been through. MORI walked over and leaned in so that his nose was only a few centimeters from Hill's nose. Do you remember the medic who rescued you? Hill instinctively flinched back. No, sir, I don't. I got hit with Murd venom. All I can remember is my legs getting blown off and my body feeling like it was on fire with the venom. MORI pulled over a wheelchair. Well, you are about to meet her. Get in. Hill's patience was about done with this officer. Major. It's getting late. I'm tired. I'm in pain, and my wife should be showing up any time now if she ever gets her ass here. Can't we do this another time? MORI grabbed him roughly by the collar and yanked him. If you do not get in this chair, I will put you in it. I swear to you, you do not want that. Hill reluctantly moved into the chair, then MORI held open the door. Vamanos. Go left, Hill asked. Can I get some help with the chair? MORI replied coldly. Your arms are still intact. Use them. MORI directed Hill until they got to the hall with the cryochambers. When they got to Elena's chamber, MORI set the brakes on the wheelchair, including one brake that Hill would not be able to reach. He looked down at Hill and gave the base of the chair frame a kick, which jostled Hill. You are not the only one who suffered losses from the Murd. This chamber is the medic rescued you. She herself was stung 3 times by Murd venom that day while saving others, including you. Neither of you should be alive, but you are, and she barely is. I have heard of your behavior during therapy, as well as your abusive treatment to your wife. You are a disgrace. A man is to love and care for his wife, as he would his own flesh, to love her as Christ loved the church. Instead, because you were angry at your body, you take it out on her because you are a coward. You have no idea how blessed you are that you still have her, Hill said through gritted teeth. Sir, my marriage is none of your business. You have no idea of what I'm dealing with. I lost everything in that battle. MOR! I shouted at him and pointed to Elena's nameplate on the cryo chamber. Mira! Hill looked at the nameplate. ELANA? ALLNT. INARODRIGUEIZ. IBAIUZI, not understanding what he was seeing. He looked at MORI and noticed the name on his uniform. Wait, Rodriguez? MORI nodded. Sai, my amada esposa, the other half of my heart and soul is in that chamber. We may never see each other again. And then there is you, una vergüenza. You are still blessed enough to have your wife who loves you, but you grossly mistreat her. That ends now. You have become my special project. Every single time there is a complaint about you from the staff for misbehavior, from the therapist for not doing your work, or from your wife when you are abusing her, you will be right back here, staring at the chamber of the woman who is stuck in there because she sacrificed herself to save you. I will have you here for hours, days if necessary. This hospital has plenty of bedpans, so I can keep you here indefinitely. Not only did I lose my wife, but the venom caused her to miscarry our child. I had to bury our baby before it was born. Do not test me. I am a man who has lost everything, so I have nothing left to lose. You are a Marine, and you will begin acting like one again immediatamente. Hill shouted back at him. IWASA Marine. Do I look like I'll ever run a power suit again? As for my wife, she just takes things too personally, then goes bitching to everyone. I'm the one who is suffering, but she makes it all about her. Did you know she threatened to leave? The worst thing that ever happened to me is too inconvenient for her. MORI leaned in, grabbed the armrests of the chair, and shouted at Hill as he shook the chair. I would gladly trade my legs to free Elena from that tomb. You are blessed but ungrateful. No more. Spousal abuse is against military law. I am ordering that there will only be supervised visitation, maximum 2 hours per day, and visitation will only occur after both of you have completed the marital counseling course and the trauma survivors course. In the meantime, I will visit you. Like you, I have a lot of anger. There's a gym with boxing gloves for sparring. You want to unleash your anger? I will be right there. But you find that I'm not an easy target like your wife. Hill made a disgusted noise. So you're going to beat up a man in a wheelchair. Nice? I'm sure that your wife would be proud. MORI looked down at him. I will be in a chair also. And another thing, no more meals delivered to your room. You still have arms. You can get yourself to the mess hall. MORI looked at his watch. I have some business. I will inform the deaconess who does the midnight prayers to release the brake on your chair. MORI walked over to the cryo chamber and gently rested his hand next to the nameplate. Perdóname por la mentira, amore. He walked out abruptly, leaving Hill in the hall. Unfortunately for Hill, MORI was good for his word. He found out that Hill had called his wife, trying to cajole her to come see him before completing the counseling courses. MORI dragged him roughly to the gym. He tossed a set of boxing gloves at Hill and told him menacingly, with gloves or bare knuckles. Your choice. Hill tried calling for help from the others using the gym, but they just looked away and turned up the volume on their headphones. Hill attempted reasoning with MORI until MORI punched him square in the face. He shouted, I will show you the same mercy that you showed to Esposa. Fight, coward. Fight someone who will hit you back. MORI did bring a chair and fought seated as he promised, and relentlessly pummeled Hill until knocking him out of his wheelchair. Hill did manage to get a few solid punches in, but it was still very one-sided. MORI set Hill back in the chair and asked, Shall we continue? Hill looked at him fearfully. He was actually starting to wonder if MORI was going to kill him. He shook his head. No, sir. MORI leaned into him. Do not attempt to undermine my orders again, or it will be bare knuckles next time. I enlisted not for honor, education, or career, but because I'm a fighter, and my choices were the Marines or prison. Mi esposa could tame me, but now she is in that tomb. You will regret trying me again. MORI looked at his watch and released the brakes on the wheelchair. Lunch is in 45 minutes. I suggest you hurry. Then MORI left abruptly again. Slash, slash, slash. Slash, 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 slash. Captain Manuel Ortega Fernandez, El Puma, awoke with a hollow feeling in his chest. Yesterday was the first day he had seen himself since arriving on La Luna after the battle with the Garinja. He had several surgeries already, so he knew he had suffered devastating injuries. He had stared at the bizarre image of himself, flesh and metal. The right side of his face, including his eye, his right shoulder, ribs, chest and back and hip, and leg had all been replaced by prosthetics. He still didn't have a replacement right arm or leg yet. He was in such shock that his brain couldn't even form thoughts. He was just blank. He thought about the 5 stages of grieving, but this complete numbness was none of them. He had felt nothing except mild curiosity when he could hear doctors trying to talk out of earshot. That's when he realized that his prosthetic ear now gave him enhanced hearing. Not much, but he probably would learn to use it to its full potential. Now Rosario, his wife, was calling. Suddenly, all of the emotions he had buried came to the surface. Dread, anger, horror, shame, fear, everything. She had called several times already, and he hadn't answered, just responded via text. Finally, the call alert stopped and Rosario left a message. Manuel, it is Rosario. We just called to wish you good night. We miss you. The girls crowded around the screen. Good night, Papa. Come see us, Papa. I drew you a picture. This is you on the moon and us here, and this a rope so you can slide down. Will you be here for carnival, Papa? Manuel squeezed his eyes shut with tears. All of the other emotions were now buried under guilt. Poor Rosario, trying to deal with a hard pregnancy and 4 children. He would be just one more burden to her. The children missed him too, but how could he face them as a freak? He desperately wanted to take them in his arms, in his arm, he thought sardonically. Another call came. Manuel groaned. He couldn't take another call from Rosario and the girls. If it was possible to die of guilt and shame, he would do it. The call immediately went to message. His father's voice came over the speaker. Hector was calm. Manuel, answer. Your mother is on the way there from Plaucan. I suggest that Manuel turned off the room light and answered, Papa! She can't come yet. I am not ready. Hector replied, I may be able to delay her slightly by having her pick up a few things to bring to you. But she'll be there before lunch tomorrow. You know what she says, I gave birth to you and changed your diapers. You don't need to be ready. You know, tu madre, only God himself could stop her. Manuel groaned. Dios mío! This will be a disaster. Hector sighed heavily. Hey Joe, turn on the light. I've already seen you. I created the prosthetics that they put in you. Let me see now so I can prepare tu madre. Manuel's hand shook as he turned on the light. The metal gleamed in his face, looking like an ancient horror video. His prosthetic eye glowed. His new right arm and leg still hadn't been installed, so there were huge gaps at his shoulder and pelvis. Hector looked him over clinically. The skin seems to be in better condition. It looks like they finally got all the infection. Let me see your shoulder socket. Manuel shifted in the bed so it was better displayed. Hold your left hand like this. Hector moved his left hand just below his right armpit. Manuel copied him. Hector stared for a minute, then nodded. I'll recalibrate the attachments. It will take longer than usual for the technician to attach and adjust it for you, but it's necessary for optimal use. You're taller than average and have a longer arm span. You'd be amazed at how much a few millimeters in your shoulder affects your elbows. How are your eye and ear doing? Manuel shrugged, or tried to. It is hard to sleep with them. The ear hears very well, too well. I hear conversations that the doctors probably wish that I didn't, and the eye fatigues me. It is always seeing, so I have a hard time getting to sleep watching everything. I wish I could get an eyelid now. Hector thought a moment, then started to laugh. Manuel looked at him askance. Hector finally shook his head. Otele! Wear an eye patch, Tonto? Manuel stared at his father for a moment, then started to chuckle. They laughed together for a minute, then Manuel said, Gracias, Papa, for not treating me like a cripple. I see the looks and hear the sad voices here, and feel as though they wait for me to die. Hector smiled at him. Your case was pretty bad, but not the worst. Congenital defects are the hardest. Even though you had extensive damage, you have a normal baseline that we can use. With congenital defects, we practically have to reinvent everything, and often we get a lot of pushback from surgeons who are reluctant to cut. They think we always want to take too much off. Hector paused. I must sound like a ghoul. I am sorry I'm not there, Hijo. But here at my office, I can actually help you more. Manuel nodded. It is appreciated, Papa. And you take care of Rosario for me. That is most important. How is she? Hector sighed. You do need to call her. She is extremely stressed and her blood pressure is still up. I had El Doctor put her on bed rest for the rest of the pregnancy. I know it's the stress. The last one didn't go like this. She is afraid of losing another husband, this time with 5 children instead of 3. Manuel was concerned. She needs to be on bed rest? Hector shrugged. Possible. We have the money for Limpiadoras Inai Eras. They can do the work. But call her before Carmen gets home, or else I'll need to build you a lot more prosthetics. Manuel yawned. Sigh, Papa. I'll call her now. He rubbed his jaw. I'm not sure I'll ever get used to that noise. Will it be the same for the arm and leg? Hector nodded. Sigh, but I'm working on silencers. I'll let you go. Oh, wait. Hold still, then turn your head to your left and right, then look down and up. Manuel followed the instructions, then Hector informed him. When you call Rosario, use that new blue button I just put on your display. I just hacked your monitor, so it's created a mirror image of the original side of your face. Keep the light low and try not to move too much. Manuel chuckled. Papa, I won't even ask how you managed to do that on a secure military line. While I'm certainly grateful that you are in prosthetics, I think you may have missed a calling in cybernetics. Hector shrugged. The money would be better, but I didn't want to risk prison. They put hackers in primitive mechanical facilities, medieval dungeons, to prevent escapes. Hacker prisons are sewers. Besides, I think the only reason Tu Abuelo let me marry Carmen is because I make prosthetics for the military. I still remember the first one he sent me, a one-armed boy who was trying to join the Marines. He said that Tu Abuelo took him to a shooting range and that he would be able to join once he could operate a weapon. Manuel chuckled. That sounds like him. Were you able to help the boy? Did he join? Hector smirked. You mean Andre? Manuel took a moment. Wait, that's how he came to work at Azteca Armas? Because of Abuelo? Hector laughed. Sigh! It wasn't easy at first. As soon as I built an arm, he was ready to run out the door back to a recruiting station. He was a perfect subject. Very average, so he made an excellent baseline. The only way I was able to keep him on was by arranging for him to go to all the test shooting ranges. Since I built an arm for him, I was able to build a specialized arm that collected data about user interface and experience handling weapons. Because of Andre, our research shot ahead of competitors. If it weren't for anti-monopoly laws, we would supply all military weapons. Hector glanced away for a moment, then faced the screen again. I just saw the time. Call Rosario. Good night. And Hector hung up. Manuel chuckled. His father was extremely brilliant, but not socially adept. He treated conversations like information inquiries. When his parents went to social events, that is when Carmen dragged Hector to one of those things. Hector simply followed her around like a large dog, eating, drinking, and shaking hands on command, until he would find another techie to talk with. Several times Hector had joked that he would build Carmen a husband android to take to parties, and even program it to dance. She didn't find it funny. He gathered his courage, turned down the lighting, and called Rosario. He had it go directly to messages, because he still wasn't ready. He knew he was being a coward, but it was the best he could do right now.